Hi guys, welcome to another session of ClearIAS. Today we are going to learn about land reforms in India. First, we will understand what is land reforms. Then we will look into the periodic classification of land reforms, their impact, objectives, major land reform movements in India, the pros, cons, and some previous UPSC questions. Let us begin. What do you mean by land reforms? Land reform means regulation of ownership, operation, and inheritance of land. It involves equitable redistribution of land from rich to the landless. We can classify land reforms periodically into two: pre-independence era and post-independence era. Considering the pre-independence land revenue systems, they are of different types, namely Zamindari system introduced by Lord Cornwallis in Bengal in 1793. Here, the zamindars paid fixed rent to government, farmers became tenants, and land became hereditary. The Rohitwari system in Madras, where proprietors of land paid rent directly to government. Another land revenue system was Mahalwari system, which existed in northwestern province, majorly in Punjab. Here, the landlords and village communities jointly paid rent for villages they owned. Now, let us look into the impacts of land revenue systems. Obviously, the tax rate was very high. It resulted in exploitation of poor peasants. There was constant fear of eviction and extreme poverty. Now, let us discuss the land reforms post-independence. As you know, India adopted socialistic principles based on 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1976, and land reforms came under state list. How these land reforms happened? There were new legislations passed by different states like Zamindari Abolition Act, Land Ceilings Act, Land Acquisition Rehabilitation and Resettlement Act 2013, that is the LAR Act, etc. And some places there were Naxalite movements which included land grab. There was voluntary donations, for example the Bhutan movement in Telangana. There was also peasant mobilization seizing land, for example the operationburgha in West Bengal. We will look into that later. So, what are the objectives of these land reform movements? They resulted in abolition of intermediaries, regulation of tenancy, land ceiling, and consolidation of land holdings. Now, let us look into major land reform movements in India. First, the Bhutan movement. It is also known as the Breathless Revolution. It was a voluntary land reform movement initiated by Acharya Vinoba Bhave in 1951 at Telangana. They persuaded the wealthy landowners to voluntarily give a percentage of their land to landless people. The landless laborers were given small plots to grow crops, and Bhutan Acts were passed stating that beneficiary had no right to sell land or use it for non-agricultural purposes. The second one is Gramdan movement, which was an offshoot of Bhutan movement itself. After the Bhutan movement, the Gramdan movement started in 1952. Here, the landowners renounced their land rights and all the lands would become property of a village association for redistribution equally and cultivation jointly. A village is declared as gramdan only when 75% of its residents with 51% of land approve it in writing. The first village to come under Gramdan was Magroth in Uttar Pradesh. The third one is operationburgha, which happened in West Bengal in 1978. Here, the Burgadas, who were sharecroppers, were provided legal protection against eviction by landlords. They aimed to convert Burgadas to landowners. The final one is Kerala Land Reforms model. Here, the Land Reforms Act 1963 was passed by the government, which ended feudal system and ensured right of tenants with minimum 10 cents of lands. Here we need to note one more thing. The land reform movements were more successful in states like Kerala and West Bengal because of political will of then left-wing governments and their legislations on land ceilings. Now, let us look into the pros of these land reforms. They resulted in abolition of middlemen like zamindars, provided land ceilings. They maintained record of land possessions, reduced inequality, and brought agrarian reforms like Green Revolution. There were some cons as well. They resulted in change in cropping pattern. There was political interference and misuse. They resulted in fragmentation of land holdings, and these land reforms were non-uniform in different states, as we have already mentioned. Now, let us look into the previous UPSC questions. When it comes to prelims 2019, the question was with reference to land reforms in independent India, which one of the following statements is correct? A. The land ceilings were aimed at family holdings and not individual holdings. B. The major aim of land reforms was providing agricultural land to all the landless. C. It resulted in cultivation of cash crops as a predominant form of cultivation. And D. Land reforms permitted no exemption to the leading limits. Obviously, the answer is B. The major aim of land reforms was providing agricultural land to all the landless. This we have already discussed. When it comes to mains in 2013, there was a question: establish relationship between land reforms, agriculture productivity, and elimination of poverty in the Indian economy. Discuss the difficulties in designing and implementation of agriculture-friendly land reforms in India. Another one was critically discuss the objectives of Bhutan and Gramdan movements initiated by Acharya Vinoba Bhave and their success. We have discussed all this in detail. Please do like and share ClearIAS. Subscribe also. Thanks for watching. That's all for today. Have a great day. Thank you.